For the last 12 months, we have been hearing about the XRP ETF. It really started to become a big focus after we did get the approval of the Bitcoin ETF. And now we are really focused on this in 2025 because the growing narrative is the fact that we will get an XRP ETF, spot ETF, approved in the US. Now, from Polymarket, we do have a 90% confidence level that we will get an XRP ETF in 2025. Now, again, this is a US spot ETF. And the reason why I'm actually saying US specifically is because we already do have a Brazil spot XRP ETF. If we go back to April, towards the end of the month, we did see latest Hashdex has launched XRP H11, the world's first XRP spot ETF in Brazil. It tracks the NASDAQ XRP reference price index with 95% of its assets located to XRP. So again, we're still focused on the US market because obviously it's one of the largest and it is, very significant to get an XRP ETF approved in the US, because what will happen next is we will see all of the additional ETFs follow through in the US, which I think is up to like 10 or so now. In total, going off of futures and spot ETFs, I think it's over like 18. So this is definitely something that I've been focused on. And the fact that we do already have a Brazilian spot XRP ETF, trading live is crazy. And in fact, it puts a lot of pressure on the US market to get this XRP spot ETF fully approved. A lot of people think that we have to wait for the SEC case to get completely finished until, we actually get this, but I don't think that that's the case. I actually think that we are going to see an XRP spot ETF approved very soon. And the reason why I say that is because of what Brad Garlinghouse told us, which we will talk about here in a second. But also the fact that on May 28th, we did get this announcement, which now we know the SEC is officially reviewing Wisdom Tree's proposal spot XRP ETF and is now accepting public comments. Again, like I said, if we get one, we get all of the rest. And, with the Bitcoin spot ETF, it was a big deal and it did help Bitcoin, immensely. Now with Ethereum, it's a completely different story. And I'm sure that you guys are all aware of that. Now, to really kind of put this into perspective, I want to address the lack of, volume and value really moving into Ethereum this cycle. The Ethereum ETF, everyone thought it was going to be huge for Ethereum, but it really didn't turn out to be that way. And the reason why is because a lot of people actually jumped ship from Ethereum because of how the Ethereum foundation was really kind of dealing with Ethereum during that time. Obviously, today we know Ethereum has been bouncing off of the lows, but it has been a very, very bad cycle for Ethereum. And I'm sure that you guys are all aware of that. Now, on top of that, do I think that XRP ETFs are going to be very successful and be more successful than the Ethereum ones? 100%. This is why I think that XRP's ETF is so crucial to focus on. It's the fact that we have institutional grade adoption and focus now on XRP. Number one. Number two, Ripple is a US based, company, and everyone ties Ripple back to XRP. They think that, Ripple is XRP, XRP is Ripple, but that's not the case. But the fact that that is a narrative is still crucial to focus on. And XRP technically is labeled as a US based crypto project. So the fact that it will get approval in the US and, it is a US based crypto project by, name, it is very big for the US market and it will basically be everywhere on mainstream media. So XRP's ETF will probably see a significant amount of inflows into it. And then, of course, I do want to mention how, successful XRP has been so far this cycle. It's still up over 300% plus going off the November lows, and it has been a very large crypto asset to follow for the last roughly 12 to 24 months. And technically, it's been, one of the largest crypto assets for well over a decade now, and it's been in the top 10, even with the SEC lawsuit. So I think that XRP, in terms of the spot ETF, will be very, very successful, which is also why I think that there's going to be a lot more focus put on XRP in terms of the actual investment vehicle outside of the ETF, but also the entire ecosystem for XRP as well once we get that ETF approval. Now, talking more so about this, let's actually go over here to what Jungle Inc. did put out, which is it's happening. XRP spot ETF under SEC review. The SEC is reviewing WisdomTree's XRP ETF, first ever US spot XRP ETF. 240-day countdown starts now. This isn't speculation, it's a formal review. Wall Street's door to XRP will finally swing open. And yeah, this is a very, very big one because of the significance of number one, WisdomTree, but also number two, like I said, the second that we get one of these ETFs approved, yeah, it definitely does open the door for Wall Street to go all in on XRP, which I do suspect will happen. And when I say all in, I don't mean that they're going to be investing trillions of dollars into XRP or anything like that. I just mean that we're going to see almost every single big Wall Street player launching an XRP ETF. Now, also over here, we do have the video tied back to this CoinDesk article, which is XRP spot ETF in the US moves closer to reality. Big shout out to Bank XRP for posting this. We have XRP breaks through critical threshold as $2 billion in active wallets, targets DeFi growth, and anticipates spot ETF approval or potential. Check this out.
Why? Let's take a look at the chart of the day. Payments-focused XRP trading bullishly above the Ichimoku cloud and 200-day simple moving average, with the average serving as strong support since early April, fueled by ETF news and growing social media buzz around XRP-Fi, the decentralized finance ecosystem on the XRP ledger. Strobe Finance highlighting that over 4 million inactive XRP ledger wallets holding over $2 billion in dormant XRP could be tapped for DeFi yield opportunities using Ripple's EVM sidechain. Moreover, the SEC has begun reviewing the WisdomTree XRP Trust, a proposed spot ETF offering exposure to XRP without direct token ownership. This marks the first SEC review of a US-based spot XRP ETF, potentially paving the way for similar crypto asset products. The SEC has 240 days to decide on the application while seeking public input on market manipulation and investor protection concerns. I'm Christine Lee for
So there we have it, right? And, you know, again, when we think about what's really going on here with XRP, there is a lot happening around the ecosystem that's upcoming. Like, for an example, XRP Apex, Ripple Swell. We've been seeing a lot of talks about stablecoin, legislation, which will support XRP and the XRPL, tokenization initiatives, companies investing. For an example, we've been hearing a lot from, Hyperscale Data to buy up to $10 million in XRP by the end of 2025. Then, of course, Weebus International is raising $300 million through a non-equity financing to establish an XRP reserve. And then we also did see Vivo Power raising $121 million to launch XRP Treasury strategy with Saudi royal backing. And then Brad Garlinghouse did confirm the NASDAQ-listed energy firm aims to be the first public company with XRP focus, with ex-SBI Ripple Asia executive joining as chairman of the advisory board. So there's a lot of public companies and big companies now trying to get a piece of XRP at the same exact time that we have yet to see a spot XRP ETF approved in the US. So think about what's going on right now and what's about to happen, right? If we see the ETF approval within the second half of this year, which we're basically there, it is going to be the biggest moment for XRP so far. And the reason why I say that is because Brad Garlinghouse did say that he expects an XRP ETF launch in the second half of 2025. And the reason why I suspect that this is actually very close and it could happen this month is because of what Brad Garlinghouse did put out over on Ripple's X account. We have here from Crypto Insight UK, a good friend of mine from the space, Garlinghouse, talking about ETFs. He thinks the Bitcoin ETF will close in on the gold ETF, but surely this is a hint to say the XRP ETF is coming soon. Why else would he chat about this and post it now, just as XRP is looking set up for its next leg higher? And yeah, the fact that they're talking about this now and the reason why, this is becoming a big spotlighted focus from Ripple's side is really interesting in my opinion. I think that it's really putting a spotlight on the fact that we are very close to an XRP ETF getting approved. And here we actually have, I did include this in a video recently, but it's happening. Institutional access to crypto is accelerating from the launch of XRP futures and ETFs on CME and NASDAQ just this week. It's clear the market is maturing and exposure to crypto is expanding. Check this out.
I'm definitely hurt, but also excited that I was overlooked for years before being on here, but now here I am. Hi, I'm Brad Garlinghouse. This is Crypto in 1 minute. 1 minute on why are people excited about crypto ETFs. I think there's two main factors going on here. One is, for the longest time, institutional investors, investors primarily trading on Wall Street, really haven't been able to access crypto directly. Their options were to either self-custody, onboard with an exchange, and some people don't like centralized exchanges for a whole host of reasons. So this was really the first time you had institutions be able to go on Wall Street and trade directly in crypto. This is an unlock for a couple reasons. For capital that couldn't come in, whether it's an endowment, whether it's a pension fund, even mutual funds that didn't or couldn't access crypto, now they can. The second thing is, it really is institutionalizing the entire industry of crypto. I think it should be no surprise that the Bitcoin ETF was the fastest ETF ever to get to $1 billion in assets. I think it passed 10 billion in assets faster than anyone as well. And today I think we'll eventually close in on the gold ETF, and that's in 1 minute.
So yeah, why would Brad be talking about these ETFs just like this and putting a spotlight on it, as well as, institutional access, if we weren't close to closing in on an ETF approval in the US for XRP around a spot market, right? This is the crucial thing, right? A spot ETF, because we already have futures ETFs trading live in the US. It really starts with the futures and then it goes into spot. But the fact that we have futures already in the US is telling us that a spot ETF is around the corner. And I think that that's exactly why we're now starting to see Ripple focused on this and talking about it openly. Just as we did see, Crypto Insight UK talking about this, saying, why would he be talking about this if we weren't going to see an ETF, coming soon? I completely agree. Brad did say the second half of 2025. We don't know if that's going to be the case, but I'm definitely focused on this. And also going back to some of these companies buying up XRP, the Vivo Power one is very interesting because we do know that the Saudi prince, per his own quote, met with President Trump and decided the timing was right for an XRP-focused public company. This is massive news for XRP. We actually have here, having met with President Trump and his leadership group during their recent visit to Saudi Arabia, we believe the timing is appropriate for digital assets and blockchain technologies to be rolled out in the kingdom. Now, again, XRP is not mainly focused on here, but just digital assets and crypto. But the fact that we have XRP being focused on from this, capital raise is crucial because this is with, Saudi royal backing. And, we already know that His Royal Highness met with Trump and decided that now is the best time to jump into digital assets. And what was the first choice? XRP. And this is something that's not coincidental. It's something that has to be mentioned. And it shows us the significance that XRP really kind of holds around some of these markets and how important it is becoming outside of just crypto, right? Like we're talking about institutional players, enterprise players, and the big money is aware of how big this will be and how successful XRP will be as well. I think that the ETFs are going to give us that insight on just how much institutional focus there is, and also how much demand there is for XRP. So far, it's been an incredible cycle for XRP, going back to 2024. I think it was like over 700% of a push to the upside, or maybe even a little bit more. The total gain is over 1,000%. We went from sub 30 cents to $3.40. It was an incredible time in the market to really kind of watch that move happen. I don't think that we're done yet. I think that there's still a lot of fuel left in XRP to really kind of push even higher. And I think that these ETFs are going to be that big moment. I think that the ETFs, all of these companies lining up to launch treasury strategies and reserve strategies, I think all of this is going to lead to significant demand of XRP. I think that the supply of XRP is going to soon start to get swallowed up by some of these big buys. And I think eventually it's going to lead to a supply shock. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys definitely leave a like, subscribe to notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.